Hi, and welcome to episode 13 of the Accelerator. Excited to share with you today our efforts on the Potomac Tech Bridge. Joining me is Mr. Michael Clark, our Tech Bridge Director here locally for the Dahlgren Division. Today we're going to talk about the construct of the Potomac Tech Bridge, how it came about. I'm going to ask Michael to talk about that. He's going to talk about the goals and what we're trying to really get after with this next level of collaboration, really, with the broader ecosystem that supports the Dahlgren Division. But first, we want to learn about Michael.
Okay.
So that may take most of the episode, depending on how far back we go. We've had the opportunity to work together in a number of capacities over the years, and Michael's a pleasure to have you here. Pleasure to have you as part of our technology office and the leadership that you provide there. But before we talk about the current role, tell us how you got there. What's your journey? When did you come to the Dahlgren Division? And how'd that time span work between joining our organization and now becoming the Tech Bridge Director?
Sure. Yeah. And this will provide some clarity for a little bit later on in my journey, but I'm a local guy. I went to Washington and Lee High School, which is now Westmoreland
right?
High School. That's right. But grew up here, was always aware of the center, but maybe didn't really understand the great things that happened behind the fences here. So in some of my roles more recently, that's been really impactful for me, and knowing that I've had the opportunity to shed some light on the great things that we're doing. But so graduated in 2001 from Washington and Lee, went to Hampton-Sydney College, played baseball there, graduated in 2005 with a degree in mathematical economics. Did a number of different things, but ultimately—
That's better than economical mathematics.
I feel like it is, and it worked out okay with my hiring here. So it was pretty good. Yeah. Did a couple of things prior to becoming a teacher. So I taught calculus and pre-calculus there at Washington and Lee. I loved it, man, an opportunity to really impact those students. I was also the baseball coach there. So I taught for 3 years and was really fortunate to get a government civilian position here at NSWC Dahlgren. And it was fantastic because I was able to continue coaching. You know, the flexibility here, I'd get in a little bit early, and the command still allowed me to impact the community through that coaching position, something that I was really passionate about. So started here about 12 years ago now. I was hired into, at that time, Z31, the Disruptive Technologies branch, and I really landed right in a gold mine. I didn't know it, but I didn't know it at the time. But it really was a fantastic opportunity for my first position here at NSWC Dahlgren. And I stayed with that organization right up until moving over to the technology office. But while in Z31, which later became H13, remained the Disruptive Technologies branch, I was really fortunate to have the opportunity to work on programs and projects that had direct impacts to the warfighter.
Definitely.
And I got to see innovation. I got to see R&D. I got to see testing all happen in a really rapid pace. We were turning items, we were getting requirements and turning items out to the field directly to the warfighter's hands in 12 to 14 months sometimes.
Definitely.
And
amazing stuff.
Yeah, it was. And working with those end users and uniformed service members, we got to see those direct impacts firsthand. And know that us coming to work every day was really making a difference. It was keeping us and our allies safe, the products that we were turning out. And I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I really landed in a gold mine there. So a number of different positions through that organization. And then about 2 years ago, I moved over to the technology office to come over to be the STEM director, to lead STEM outreach.
Right after I came back as tech director, I do believe. So
yeah, that's right. Yep, absolutely. So I was the STEM director, and which that kind of brought things full circle to me personally as well. I had just stopped coaching.
With your teaching background too.
Yeah, exactly. I had just stopped coaching, so I had a little bit of a hole in my heart. Like I wasn't able to pour into kids anymore, right? So this offered me that opportunity again, and I was incredibly thankful for it.
And for our audience, I can tell you, I got a chance to work with Michael a lot on our middle school all the way through our college students on that STEM engagement, and just has us at such a new level and a new level of achievement and accomplishment in our partnerships academically. And to watch him work with sixth graders through college graduate students is just excellent. And it is growing our partnerships with all of those levels and really building our pipeline for new scientists and engineers, computer scientists, and folks across our STEM fields.
Yep. No, you're on the money there. We through your support and through Jennifer Clift, who was the chief technology officer at the time. Through Jen's support, we were able to work with local school divisions to create opportunities for those students that truly got them excited. They were very unique and fun opportunities that those students were able to participate in. And, and I think it's moving the needle in the local school system. So I'm really excited to be a part of that program.
Well, I can tell you, we have a lot of challenging projects and programs here in our organization. It is a huge challenge when you have 26 high school teams in a single environment to pull off an innovation challenge. So certainly watch you do that. Another thing I'll note, Michael and I share a passion for baseball.
Mm-hmm.
We just probably don't share the same ability. We played on the same field together at different times, but I want to be like Mike when it comes to that area.
Well, so. I appreciate you saying that, but the years have caught up with me. That's for sure.
Well, you wait. they're stacking up here for sure too. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about the Potomac Tech Bridge. We've had a number of conversations as a leadership team within the Dahlgren division over the course of the last few years. As the Naval X community has stood up these tech bridges and managed tech bridges. And honestly, it wasn't a slam dunk that we would gain advocacy across the Navy to have a tech bridge isolated or associated. Isolated is probably the wrong term. It's only associated, affiliated, and centered on our organization as the Dahlgren division, because we certainly participate in multiple tech bridges as a partner. And I'll probably ask you to talk about that a little bit as well. We had a pivotal conversation with Vice Admiral Morley during a recent visit, I say recent, within the last year or so, and had an opportunity to really assess the position from ASNRDA, so in the Secretariat part of the Department of the Navy, to understand where we might fit. And some of those conversations really led us down a path to where we are today. So with that, I'll stop my part of it. And Michael, I ask you to talk about how the Potomac Tech Bridge came about. What led us to be successful in that realm?
Yep.
How do we build the right network, and how do we get set up today?
Yeah, sure. Great question. So as you talk to directors of tech bridges across the Tech Bridge network, they like to describe themselves as super connectors, right? And as it turns out, we were doing a lot of that work anyway. Us developing partnerships with colleges and universities across academia, with some of the government organizations, both federal, state, and local, with which we've established partnerships over the last several years. We were building that base to be a really strong super connector. And I think Vice Admiral Morley, saw that and saw how we were posturing and positioning ourselves to really set the stage to be an impact player in that space.
Probably didn't hurt, certainly, that we had Captain Casey Plew leading at Naval X and really driving a significant part of the Tech Bridge program. His knowledge, background, experience, and having worked here as a CO in the past and continued to maintain contact. He certainly was a big part in helping us get off the ground, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it's been fantastic to have the opportunity to work with Captain Plew again in this capacity. Yeah, certainly a huge advocate for us, a great ear for me to throw ideas towards. And he's been just a great mentor in us in helping me to get this thing off the ground and running. And he's doing great things. He and his team there at Naval X are doing great things. They've got a great leadership team. It's interesting, the structure there at Naval X now. So there are 19 tech bridges internationally now. We have one in Japan, one in London, and then 17 within the United States.
Including the Mid-Atlantic, which we've been associated with.
Including the Mid-Atlantic, yes. The Mid-Atlantic has been around since about 2021, I believe, somewhere in that time frame. Might have been a little bit prior to that even. But yeah, they are one of the more mature tech bridges that have been around for a little while longer. And yeah, we've certainly been associated and participated there with them. But the network of 19 tech bridges is really strong. And through Captain Plew's leadership, we really stay galvanized and aligned with each other. One thing that's unique, though, and we'll go all the way back to when Secretary Gertz kind of stood up this Naval X and Tech Bridge program. Each tech bridge is different, really different, right? We have a tech bridge in San Diego. We have one in Crane. We have one here. We have one at Mid Atlantic. We have one at Pax River. Each of those communities needed something different. Each of the associated warfare centers needed something different. And Secretary Gertz was clear, those tech bridges need to serve the communities and warfare centers with which they are associated. He did not try to build a one size fits all tech bridge. And that has been really a really fun opportunity for us to shape this tech bridge to what our warfare center needs and to what our local community needs.
No, that's great. And the vision of Secretary Gertz to add that tailorability, if you will, to the construct is important. So thinking of the construct and the architecture, talk a little bit about what the tech bridge is physically in terms of the people, the players here locally. Could be the bigger picture too. We've got a site that's up and running. We've got your office here. If you would help the audience understand that a little bit.
Sure. So the tech bridge is really positioned to be an off-site location, or to provide access to an off-site location where collaboration can happen easily. For folks that have tried to get on base and tried to access base before, sometimes it's not the easiest process. So we want to be able to have an avenue to go outside of that fence and make that collaboration much easier. So we've partnered with the University of Mary Washington, specifically the Dahlgren campus, to stand up an off-site tech bridge location. We're right there in the center of their facility. We share the space with a newly constructed makerspace there at UMW Dahlgren. And we've already leveraged that space in just the first month of existence. We've leveraged that space to have a meeting with one of our partners there, and we're going to use it much more. Additionally, we use that space for our challenges, both middle school, high school, collegiate, and then even the industry challenges. So fantastic space, and that partnership with UMW and UMW Dahlgren is critical for us.
Yeah, you talk about the partnership with UMW. There's probably not a day goes by that we're not doing something together. We've expanded our partnership well beyond anything that I'd seen in my career previously. From workforce development to technical partnering such as this. We certainly hope to expand our ability for technical conferencing and really leading technical communities the way we should be as an R&D centric warfare center. So we really do appreciate what Dr. Pano and his team do from the University of Mary Washington. Can you talk about other partners, maybe not by name, but maybe by type, or as you see fit? You can certainly talk by name. But so we've built that initial partnership. We're just getting underway. Can you talk about those partnerships, but also how we're applying them? Because the next question I'm going to want to get to is, why should our workforce care that we have a tech bridge? Right? Why should the Navy workforce, the broader Navy workforce, care that we have a tech bridge, our fleet? And then we'll circle back to the greater ecosystem in that part. So I've given you like 18 questions.
Yeah, I should have written them down.
One thing that this is a conversation,
no,
so
okay.
we'll come back to them. But yeah, first, other partners besides UMW. What does that mean?
So it's always risky, right, to start listing off partners, but I'm going to do my best here. We do have some just powerhouse partners that are critical to the success of this tech bridge. This tech bridge doesn't exist with strong partners that are really involved with the community and whose missions align with what we're attempting to do. So kind of from the state side, we've got VIPC, Virginia Innovation Partnership Corporation. And they have a fantastic staff there that is interested in how they can provide resources and opportunities for small businesses specifically across the state.
I spoke at their forum last fall.
Yeah, it's in the fall, I think.
Right.
Dave Irie there, who's the CTO. He's just an incredible friend of our center and of the Tech Bridge. But that's a state organization that is 100% interested in the innovation space and how they can help their small businesses, how they can help the Commonwealth small businesses to innovate and help us advance technology while providing economic growth opportunities and business development opportunities for those businesses. Additionally, VEDP, the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, we were fortunate yesterday to handshake and high five with a couple of folks from VEDP. And obviously, as their name would allude, they are extremely interested in the economic development across the Commonwealth. So those are great partners at the state level that have been critical in us standing up, making connections for us. And we're finding that there's a ton of synergy in their efforts and in ours. For example, VEDP has an incredibly robust support system for SBIR programs. So, we're looking at ways that we can collaborate in that space and help to support Naval X and provide opportunities through the Navy SBIR program as well.
Good, good. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about from our workforce and how folks from the Dahlgren division that may be watching or listening in audio format. Um, why should they care? What problems do we now get at differently having a tech bridge in place, or maybe it's a force multiplier? And I think we're still working on the communication and and our messaging around the Potomac Tech Bridge.
Sure.
And we're just for our audience here, we're pretty fledgling at this point.
Yep.
We did the ribbon cutting ceremony back in virtual ribbon cutting, but back in December, and had a great kickoff. But I think in terms of really understanding the full potential, there's a lot of work still to do. But maybe you could give us an example of what might run differently with Tech Bridge engagement and how we're doing business.
Yeah, and that leads right into just a great example that was, I believe, the very first part of December with our Adaptable Interface Prize Challenge. So PEO IWS introduced a problem that was an everyday challenge for our sailors. How can we perform these specific data transformation operations? It has been a challenge for us, and it takes some major brain power to get after. So what we were able to do through our technology office and through the Tech Bridge was run a prize challenge. And we gave a significant amount of cash out to the winner of that prize challenge. So that was enough to kind of pull in 30 companies that participated in this thing. And they all innovated, they problem solved, and ultimately about 14 of them presented solutions to us for this data translation.
We created a grading system to evaluate those outcomes, right?
That's right.
If I remember right, $250,000 was the prize.
That's right.
So is the Tech Bridge environment what facilitates us being able to pay that out, right? Because it's a little different contracting model. We don't have a lot of tools where we can say, okay, company X, we're going to award you $250,000 because you just brought us a great idea. Is the Tech Bridge an element that allows us to do that?
Yeah. So I mean, the Tech Bridge community, the Tech Bridge network is becoming the facilitators or the facilitating entities of prize challenges like that, and that becomes the competition, for those types of awards. And yes, we delineated a very clear and precise grading mechanism. And the participants in that challenge specifically had 3 submissions that they had to provide to us. We graded each one of them and ultimately had one company come out on top.
This is like judging a science fair on steroids, with real financial outcomes.
That's right.
So you certainly want to get that part right. Blue ribbon versus different.
$250,000.
Another ribbon or colors. It makes a big difference when you got $250,000 at stake.
The really neat thing about that, though, the $250,000 is great, and I'm sure the winner really appreciated that. But the real prize was the opportunity to interact with scientists and engineers here at our center who were involved as SMEs, program office personnel that came to sit in on the evaluations of those presentations from those specific companies, and then the program office itself. I mean, the admiral at PEO IWS was very involved and has been.
Yeah, Admiral Connor and her team and Ms. Hendry, certainly my counterpart there, were huge partners and players in that.
Absolutely, and they've worked hard to make sure that it didn't stop there at that challenge. So they're working with the winning team and actually with one other team that participated in the challenge, whose solution showed some promise as well, to try to get that thing to a fieldable solution.
Great. So that's an event that took place late last fall, leading into early winter, and the launch of our Tech Bridge. What events are on the horizon? What are you planning now? And how will that involve our workforce?
Yep. So as we're kind of just getting stood up, I've failed to really dive into thus far. My previous position was as STEM director. We have a middle school challenge that's teed up that kind of falls more in the STEM arena, but that ties in very closely to the Tech Bridge, and I'll try to weave that in. We moved directly from that middle school challenge to that high school challenge that you mentioned, where we have 22 to 24 teams here show up and run through a robotics competition like no other. And after that, and this one's really exciting, we're moving to a collegiate cyber challenge that's going to go down late April time frame. So where these collegiate teams will be assessing the cyber vulnerabilities of specific systems against advanced threats.
So we conducted those events last year in one format.
Yep.
How does the existence of the Tech Bridge allow that to be expanded, or what's different about that?
Yeah. So from the STEM perspective, the K through 12 space, the Tech Bridge is about partnership. It's about collaboration. So we're able to just capitalize on
bringing those schools into the Potomac Tech Bridge partnership.
The schools, but then also the interested state organizations that we're now working a little bit more closely with. The colleges and universities. UMW is, for example, is supporting both our middle school and high school challenge. And then,
by supporting, you mean participation as well as some actual funding resources and investments, right? I'll make sure that we make that clear for the audience too.
Yes, absolutely. And then bringing in other organizations that are invested in the advancement of STEM and of the future work, the development of the future workforce here in the area.
Great. We're going to provide some information at the end of the podcast to help you get in touch with Michael. If you're here within our organization, you certainly can find him in Global. Talk about the industry partners, or whether small business or large business and everything in between. With our organization, we executed just over $2.3 billion in FY23. We're already trending higher than that for FY24. It's very, very trackable and very predictable that about half of what we do is going to go outside to our industry partners.
Right.
So somewhere north of $1 billion this year will go out to our industry partners of all types. With very aggressive small business goals across the Department of the Navy. We're no exception to that here within the Naval Surface Warfare Center, Dahlgren Division. Looking at that scope, how's the Potomac Tech Bridge another avenue or another tool in our toolbox to allow us to leverage that industry partnership?
Sure. It's very clear we have very strong industry partnerships with a large number of businesses at this time. But there are so many other potential vendors and performers that we could partner with that we just haven't interacted with at this point. Small businesses, we call them non-traditionals, folks who are working every day in the innovation space, but they might be doing it for another industry.
I mean, non-DoD typically, right?
Yep, non-DoD, non-traditional DoD performers, and they are innovating every day, but it might be in the energy sector or the transportation sector, and they may just not realize, and we might not realize that they have a product that has huge application for us. And so the Tech Bridge is the conduit to those folks.
Well, I think you've hit on a very key point there, because in our normal solicitations and our normal outreach to the contractor community, I lead something called the Dahlgren Government Contractor Partnership, where we interface with our leading industry partners periodically, and we seek feedback and talk about where our strategic direction is taking us, and the type of demand for our products that requires a lot of help on their part. But through the Tech Bridge now, we're reaching out to those non-traditional elements that you talk about, and really bringing more folks to the fight.
Yeah,
because our fight really requires that with the challenges that we're seeing in the world today. Let me ask you to hit on the topic of working across the Tech Bridges. You mentioned we're one of 17 domestically.
17 domestically.
19 internationally,
That's right.
17 domestically, correct?
Yep, absolutely.
What's the connection there? How much time as a director of the Tech Bridge do you get to spend with these other organizations? And you have a strategy for kind of working across that broader portfolio and leveraging those as well.
Yeah. Captain Plew and the Naval X leadership has set up a great infrastructure to allow that to happen. Just on the kind of drumbeat aspect of it, we have bi-weekly phone calls where all Tech Bridge directors dial in, right? And we all just sync up with Naval X and make sure that we're all kind of marching to the same beat there. But what happens in real time when any of us encounter a problem or a challenge? we raise our hand to the other Tech Bridge directors, and within an hour, you've got 2 or 3 of those directors that have been in their seat for quite some time that are reaching out to help out any way that they can. Another place where there's huge benefit there from the technical side of the house. If one of our companies that is part of our Tech Bridge network comes up with some great whiz bang new development, but maybe it doesn't fit exactly what we do here, we're able to help present that and share that across the Tech
greater
Bridge.
awareness across the Tech Bridge community. Yeah,
absolutely.
How do you receive those ideas from other Tech bridges? Is that the right way to put that? Where other similar organizations may be located, how do they get those ideas? Do you have like a clearinghouse of information, or right now you're just working in by word of mouth and building a network?
So, our mode of communication at this point is just our Teams, our Microsoft Teams channel. But NavalX is working hard to enhance that infrastructure, where we'll have what is essentially like a Salesforce database of the companies that are operating in specific spaces, and all of the information will be captured there. It'll be easily searchable, both by Tech Bridge directors, but then by program managers or scientists and engineers that might be interested in specific technologies as well. So it's really going to be a file share of companies across the nation who have capabilities that we'll be interested in.
Awesome. Let's shift the focus locally a little bit.
Yeah.
So this is kind of effort one to roll out this new asset, this new resource to our workforce. How are you going to get out and interface across the Dahlgren division? Have you had a chance to think about your plan yet, and how we're going to raise this awareness? And then also, how should folks get in touch with you? I'll let you talk to that.
Yeah, no, fantastic. So yeah, a lot of the stuff that we've discussed so far has been outward focused, and that is one of the main objectives of the Tech Bridge, right? We want to influence that innovation ecosystem that we support here locally, and we want to be able to find solutions for the Marines and sailors that are non-traditionals that we might not otherwise come across. But yeah, how do we serve the population here at NSWC Dahlgren? And what we're able to do is perform things like tech scans. We can reach out to those other Tech Bridge directors and more deeply evaluate the technical providers throughout other ecosystems surrounding other Tech Bridges, because they have already made those connections.
So someone in our technical workforce has a novel concept and they're looking for vendor partners, industry partners. They can bring those to you, and you have the opportunity to conduct an outreach across your counterparts.
Absolutely.
And to see what that broader ecosystem is bringing to bear.
Absolutely.
Is that a fair way to say that?
Absolutely. Yep. And some of the Tech Bridges have partners who specialize in doing just that, in performing those tech scans across those technical areas. And we have, access to those as we need them as well. So that's a huge piece there. Additionally, just as we did with PEO IWS, if a specific program or project has a problem or challenge that they're facing that they want industry to innovate on, we can set up things like prize challenges or technical demonstrations where we could actually, bring product here on base or do it at an offsite location, offer the engineers an opportunity to get their hands on it and kind of see what those companies have to offer. Which is historically kind of tough for us to do, but the Tech Bridge is definitely there to enable that happening.
Great. Well, lastly, talk about how our industry partners that might not be part of your network today.
Yeah.
How should they get in touch with you? What are you looking for? Who do you want to hear from?
So NavalX has a great landing page at this point, and I don't want to. It's great if they come through that way, but I'm kind of going to give the rundown on how that works at this point. A company that wants to do business with NavalX will go in and they'll fill out a form, their contact information, and then I get them almost every morning. It's just a great rundown of what that company is up to, and it's intended for small businesses to be able to make contact with NavalX and to the Tech Bridges. So if a small company submits one of those forms through the NavalX website, And if it aligns with something that we've identified as one of our technical areas of interest, then it drops in my inbox and I reach out to them immediately. I'll tell you, I received one at 8:30 last night. I responded to them by like 9:15.
Right.
So yeah, don't expect that all the time. I happen to be online, but and it's great to have that collaboration with those small companies. Many times it's the founder, it's the founder or the CEO that's emailing because it's a 4 or 5 person shop in many cases. So that's fantastic. And that's kind of currently the way that we're operating. But as we continue to build out, I hesitate to call it our marketing campaign, but our communications campaign and how we can interact, we'll have a similar landing page where companies can reach out directly to us. For now, we're gonna leverage the social media platforms so folks can get in touch with me through those, and we're gonna post those on the page on the screen here. So I think those folks that are watching on video, they'll be able to see those links. And if not, we're very easily searchable and findable across those social media platforms.
Well, awesome. Michael, you're doing an outstanding job.
Thank you.
I appreciate all that you've done to stand up the Potomac Tech Bridge. We are just getting started, folks. This is the introduction here today. Lots more to follow from Michael. Watch for correspondence from Michael Clark, director of the Potomac Tech Bridge. So thanks for joining me. That's a wrap for episode 13. Episode 14 is already in the works. Our next recording will be with the Navy Chief Engineer, Mr. Rick Quaid. We're going to have him here as a guest during Engineering Week. We look forward to talking about the application of engineering rigor across the Department of the Navy and what that means for such a broad portfolio. We get a great opportunity, have a great opportunity here in the Dahlgren Division to be major players in that. Look forward to that discussion with Mr. Quaid upcoming. So hope you enjoy this episode. Give us some feedback and stay tuned for more. Thanks again.